Welcome to United Unitarian Universalist Congregation. My name is Reverend David Kramer, minister here at this church. With me today is Alex Chilson, our music director, Dennis Reynolds, our director of religious education, and Meg Whaley, chair of our religious services committee. This is a pre-recorded video service. It will be available on our website throughout the week. During this time of limited travel and social distancing, I hope that it can provide a way for you to stay connected to this caring community. Please pay extra attention to the Monday, Tuesday, and Friday email posts from our office administrator, Patty Vanderpool. They will help you stay up to date. I have a couple of things to lift up. Starting today at 1:30 p.m., we will begin a four-part discussion of the UUA Common Read, An Indigenous Peoples' History of the United States by Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz. Today we will discuss the first three chapters. Anyone who has opened a book is welcome to join this discussion, but the link to the Zoom meeting has been sent to only those who have registered. I will not be sending this link out generally, so if you wish to participate and have not yet registered, send me a message now. And again, this Sunday, as we have been doing ever since we have been sequestered in this online format, we will hold an online coffee hour starting at 11:30 a.m. Along with the email inviting you to this service was a link to that Zoom call. So far, we've had more than 20 people each week. If you are still new to Zoom, it's easy. Just click on the link and follow the instructions. Wednesday is Earth Day, a day to consider both the abundance of life all around us and also its frailty. It is a day to know our interconnectedness, our place in the world, and our responsibility. Our theme this month is liberation. May we today liberate ourselves from patterns and attitudes that spoil our own environment and lay waste, and instead find ways to grow. May we learn the ways of love and compassion and honor, and may we heal the earth and each other. Now please join me as we light our chalice with words that you may know or are in your order of service along with the email inviting you to this service. May this flame kindle within us the warmth of compassion, the glow of love, the fire of commitment, and the light of truth. Here together we scatter and nurture seeds of spirit, service, and community. Now let's sing together. Hymn number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth. I know that some of you have hymnals and others may be interested in receiving one. If you would wish to have a hymnal at your home during this time, please send us a message to the office, and we'll make sure we can get you a hymnal.
Source of all to thee.
Dennis Reynolds has a story for all ages.
Good morning, I'm Dennis, and I'm the Director of Religious Education here at United. And today I have brought something special. Many times I have talked about tools, I've talked about hammers and all sorts of things, but today is a special day to think of one important thing that maybe your folks at home have in their tools, which is WD-40. It's a blue can with the white and the yellow and the red label, really easy to find, and it fixes a lot of things. I was looking online, there's over 2,000 uses for a can of WD-40. You can take crayon marks off of walls, you can make things work better, you can take rust off of metal. There's so many things. It's a little bit of liquid and it's a little oil and it makes things work easier. And why I was thinking about it was at my house I had a really squeaky chair and Georgia was sitting on the squeaky chair and it was squeaking and she said, "Go quick and fix it." So I grabbed my WD-40 and it fixed it right away. And it reminds me that sometimes, unless we make a little bit of noise and we say what we truly feel, things will really never get fixed.
Thanks, Dennis. That's one of my favorite tools. You know, if it moves and it's not supposed to move, duct tape. If it doesn't move and it's supposed to, WD-40. Those two things. I ask you to shift gears a little bit right now and enter into a time of quiet reflection, meditation, prayer. Words from Jack Mendelson. Here in this sanctuary of ancient dreams and wisdom and beauty, we come to grow, to be healed, to stretch mind and heart, to be challenged, renewed, to be helped in our own continuing struggle for meaning and for love, to help build a world with more justice and mercy in it, to be counted among the hopers and the doers. In the face of cynicism, darkness, and brutality around us and within, we seek to align ourselves with a living community that would affirm rather than despair, that would think and act rather than simply adjust and succumb. Here we invite the spirit of our own humanity and the healing powers under, around, and through and beyond it to give us the nerve and grace, the toughness, and the sensitivity to search out the truth that frees and the life that maketh all things new. We come together each week, whether we are here in this sanctuary or safe at home, connected by fiber optic cable and our care for one another. Among those with us are those who are struggling even more so in this time with solitude, depression, anxiety, and those too with the complications of age. Among us are some who have lost jobs or who have become estranged from family or from friends. We wish to hold these in the only way that we can in heart and mind and thought and prayer, wishing for them peace and healing. Among us also are those celebrating birthdays and anniversaries, new children or grandchildren, even just the arrival of this day. We are with these too. Their joy is our joy. The richness of our church family lifts and sustains us. In this time of joys and sorrows, I want to lift up a few people for whom I am grateful. Edna Pfeiffer, Beth Molzheim, Louisa LeBlanc, Angel Troyer, and Maria O'Connor. For these and all of us, let's sing together, Walking with You. reading today is number 465 in the gray hymnal, The Wisdom to Survive. If we have the wisdom to survive, to stand like slow-growing trees on a ruined place,
renewing it, enriching it.
if we will make our seasons welcome here, asking not too much of earth or heaven,
then a long time after we are dead, the lives of our lives prepare will live here.
their houses strongly placed upon the valley sides,
Fields and gardens rich in the windows, the river will run clear as we will never know it.
and over it, birdsong like a canopy.
On the levels of hills will be green meadows, stock bells in noon shade.
On the steep where greed and ignorance cut down the old forest,
An old forest will stand, its rich leaf fall drifting on its roots.
the veins of forgotten springs will have opened, families will be singing in the fields.
In their voices, they will hear a music risen out of the ground.
They will take nothing from the ground, they will not return, whatever their grief at parting.
Memory native to this valley will spread over it like a grove, and memory will grow into legend, legend into song, song into sacrament.
The abundance of this place, the songs of its people and its birds, will be health and wisdom and indwelling light.
There is no paradisal dream. Its hardship is its possibility.
So today I want to continue the topic of getting beyond sorry that we started 2 weeks ago with a kind of a sorry that was way bigger than you and which you might think you can't do anything about, but you can. I have been reading An Indigenous Peoples History of the United States by Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz. We will hold a discussion group again on this book today at 1:30. More reading and discussion groups will follow. To start, I want to tell you that I have learned some things from this book that I just did not know. For one, the practice of scalping is not something that the English learned from Native Americans. It was something they brought with them. A generation before arriving in the Western Hemisphere, the British colonized first Wales and then Scotland, and then drafted those Scots to invade and colonize Ireland, taking over the commons and driving out the Irish violently, taking scalps from them to claim bounty for the British. For another thing, the American militia, as in the militia enshrined in the Second Amendment, were not the ones fighting the Revolutionary War. Despite what you think you know about the Minutemen, the war was fought, at least after the first few battles, by regimented troops commanded by Washington and trained by German soldiers hired for that purpose. The militia, being necessary for the security of a free state, as the amendment says, fought not on the east side of the colonies against the British, but on the west side against the Native Americans, who were not at war with them, but were only in the way of their settlements. And this militia went about this by killing the women and the children and the old men first, just slaughtering them in their villages because they were easiest and because the settlers knew that that would demoralize the able-bodied men who would ordinarily wage war. They called them Redskins, not because they were people of color, but because of the blood that covered their corpses. This went on, settlement by settlement, for 100 years or more until we, meaning white Americans, could deny that Indians ever existed at all. While I am learning new facts from this book, I am also coming away with a consciousness of facts I already know or should have known or should have paid attention to, that the United States was built not on a foundation of ideas and ideals, but on the capital of forced labor and stolen land. It was built on genocide and slavery and arrogance and willful ignorance and the sanctimonious belief in the God-given supremacy of the white race. And everywhere there is blood, horrible, brutal blood. And it is on me as well, because I was born into this country of European descent, and I cannot wash it off. I cannot go back to Germany or to England or to Portugal. I cannot send enslaved people and their descendants back to Africa and somehow reverse history so to make Africa a current economic power. I cannot restore North America to its indigenous population. And so I am guilty, and it is overwhelming. It leaves me feeling powerless. Saying sorry is not anything. It's less than anything. It's an insult. According to the American Battlefield Trust website, the Revolutionary War was a war unlike any other. One of ideas and ideals that shaped the course of human history. I'm going to call baloney on that. What the founders fought for was the ability to expand their plantations and enterprise. The idea that the United States was the first nation on earth not to engage in building empire is flat out wrong. How else did we come to control half a continent from sea to shining sea without appropriating land that belonged to other people, other nations, and by means of war? Dunbar Ortiz writes of how at the same time as Europeans were marching west, they were inventing a narrative that cast them as patriots and avengers, doing God's work in liberating a heathen land and its savages who were of the devil. This has become a national religion for us, with scriptures, the U.S. Constitution, and ecclesia, Congress, and the courts, and the presidency, and even cult-like sectarians like the current band of Second Amendment folks for whom any disagreement is heresy. Among the truths that are self-evident is that Unitarians were prominent among those who invented our civic religion. Jefferson, the Adamses, Tom Paine. We like to think of ourselves as heretics too, and yet we share with the founders many core beliefs of modern Americans: a strong individualism, a belief in reason, the democratic method of decision-making, separation of church and state, and populist, decentralized control. These are our ideals as well. We who are progressives are the offspring of those who founded the nation, and we should know that for all our high ideals, we were the ones who issued the orders to fire indiscriminately, to settle on lands outside the treaty, to hold and to return slaves. Progressives are not exempt from colonialism and imperialism and white supremacy. We are wrapped up in it. It's what feeds liberal guilt. So what do we do about it? Here's what I know. If there is anything to this faith at all, it is in the belief that we can do things differently. We can change. That's our salvific message. That's our good news. We have been heretics throughout history, not because we chose particular issues of the day, but because we chose not to be bound by the standard wisdom. If we are wrapped up in the origins of the United States and its cultural religion, we are also the ones who can recognize that. We can begin to make things right by recognizing the sovereignty of indigenous nations, by honoring treaties made with them, by restoring sacred rights, and providing sufficient reparations to repair nations. We can begin by accepting cultural responsibility, and in that providing for a means of survival and liberation. We can begin by rewriting the American narrative to recognize the truth of this empire. Everything in the world right now is quite literally directly affected by the ideologies formed on what colonizers viewed as the frontier. We can begin by taking a first step toward understanding. Indigenous peoples offer possibilities for life after empire, possibilities that neither erase the crimes of colonialism nor require the disappearance of the peoples colonized under the guise of including them as individuals, says Dunbar Ortiz. And then someday, as Wendell Berry says in our reading for today, the abundance of this place, the songs of its people and its birds, will be health and wisdom and indwelling light. Blessed be. Once again, coffee hour begins at 11:30, and at 1:30, discussion of this book, An Indigenous People's History of the United States. I will check email after this service. Send me a message if you want to join in. I hope that you have found this service worthwhile in this time of separation. Stay connected. Find ways to reach out. And wherever you go, go in love, seek justice, find peace.